Freak, talk to me. What do we have? Posting patch preview instead of Froxon this week. I don't have infinite characters, so it's all in the screenshot. Let me know if it's not legible. As the intro section states, this is a nerf-heavy patch to combat the previous buff-heavy state of the last 1 to 2 months. Okay. I already know this is not gonna be a lot of high elo things, like not a lot of things that will make the game a lot better in high elo, but overall, our last several patches were power positive as a whole, so we're taking a nerf-focused patch to combat power creep. Primarily nerfing champions who gained a lot of power from the Blade of the Ruined King and Kraken Slayer buffs. Also taking a swing at statistical overperformance, specifically in the tank support area. We also have a patchwork scene for Illaoi and Rek'Sai, details in their specific areas. I'm gonna be honest here. I never expected to see so many melee champions being nerfed because of Kraken and Bork. I always thought that especially Kraken buffs were... I always thought that this item performs so much better on ranged champions. I'm a little bit surprised here that ranged champions are not really on the list here. Clad. Last patch saw about 0.8% win rate loss, and he can't remount as well as we'd like, especially in teamfights. Okay. They're gonna buff passive gain, probably, like remounting capability. That's cool. I don't have any problem with that. That's cool. Last patch overshot our expectations. We're walking back part of the last patch nerf. So I guess they're gonna revert the passive damage loss a little bit. But I think Riot needs to be kind of careful here, because the reason why Riven, I think, lost a lot of win rate here is not necessarily because of the nerf, but more so because... how do I say it? She has a bug, right? Her Q3 has a big buff and it knocks people back. Yeah, okay, whatever. Alistar, overall statistically overpowered and the #1 pro support right now. Alistar is pretty much a slam dunk nerf. Statistically overpowered. I mean, from what I saw, Ralph, for example, performs a lot better than Alistar. But it is true that Alistar is strong. Alistar just does really well into like melee short range type of team comps, especially like Alistar blocks so many melee champions out of the game. Like if you play Yone, you play Yasuo, you play Tryndamere, you play any sort of melee champion, Aurelia, that is like very vulnerable to like CC and is chopped. I feel like Alistar does insanely well into this type of champs. But yeah, it makes sense. Riot has said that they're gonna try to nerf melee supports more, which is weird to me. If you look at solo queue, melee supports are actually not as good as enchanters. Like enchanters completely roll solo queue. But professional play, obviously melee supports are more valued there. Bel'Veth gained significantly off the Kraken Slayer and Borg changes. We're also making some power negative changes aimed at weakening her early bully power, giving a little bit of late game scaling back. That's fine. It does make sense that Bel'Veth is worse early, better late. She kinda is like... I feel like her identity is suited more towards scaling more so than anything. But I would imagine Kraken Slayer is a much better item on her than Borg, because she just has such good interaction with Kraken Slayer on E. Braum, like Alistar, Braum is statistically overpowered, and last patch nerfs heavily undershot our expectations, so we're back for more. Yeah, last patch they nerfed 5 armor of Braum, which was supposed to be 1%, and I think it was less than 1%, so it makes sense. Aurelia, like Bel'Veth, Aurelia gained a lot from recent item buffs. We're looking to nerf her ideally for solo queue skewed, since periodic pro play is cool. So, how are we gonna do that, guys? I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. Even though they say this, I think Aurelia right now is just simply low elo skewed, same as Yasuo. And it will take a lot more than just a simple number change to make these champions be high elo skewed. So, yeah. I assume they're gonna nerf some sort of scaling here, but it doesn't matter. Master E, another big winner from Kraken and Borg. We're nerfing Master E, who was balanced before that. There's some compensation for crit builds. Okay, that's cool. Nilah, currently the highest wounded bot laner. We're looking to take some power out. We're also taking out some scaling and buffing her early a bit. That's also cool. So the reason why they're nerfing scaling here and buffing early is because Nilah is pretty much the best win rate ADC from Iron to Emerald pretty much. She's the highest win rate ADC. So this is why they're nerfing her. Even though, yes, her peak rate is not high and she's mostly played by mains because she's a niche character. But Nilah nerfs should have happened many months ago. And Riot knows this. Riot knows that she was the best winner ADC in the game for like several months and they didn't do anything about it. But yeah, they're gonna nerf scaling to make her a little bit worse in low elo, basically. Pantheon, we would have nerfed him last patch, but the change we wanted needed localization. This is a jungle focused nerf. Okay. They're nerfing Q damage on Pantheon. Depending on how big the Q damage nerf is, if the champion clears too slow, this champion will die out from jungle. This is just... Junglers, a lot of junglers simply live or die by the fact of how fast their clear speed is. Even though the kit of Pantheon is very good for jungle and the fact that he has a global and everything is really good. But if he clears too slow, then he will fall off. Quinn has also crept up in win rate and is currently the #1 in top lane. We're looking to weaken early mid wave clear power while preserving attack damage. So I'm assuming they're gonna nerf her base AD but buff her AD per level, is what I'm reading here. But I'm actually kind of curious about Quinn, because I did realize that her win rate went up last patch, but why is that a thing? Are people buying Kraken Slayer? No, they're not. They're still buying Shu. So I guess this is just... Maybe other things got weaker over time, that Quinn just is simply stronger. And why she's performing better? Okay, I don't know. Rel, right up there with Alistar and Braum as an overperforming tank support in all levels of pro play. We're peeling out some power, so happy about that. I think Rel is basically too good for too long. Rel has been pretty much the best melee support in solo queue and in pro play for the most part. Like pro players blind Rel mostly, and Alistar is used only as a counter to Rel mostly. I'm surprised she survived this long, but I feel like they have some favoritism towards Rel. But so if Rel and Alistar and Braum get nerfed, which melee support is left untouched? I guess Leona and Rakan. I feel like Rakan is the clear winner here. If for pro play specifically, like Rakan is a massive winner. I don't know. I just think we're gonna move into Rakan. Rakan. I mean, Naut and Leona are also not touched, but I think Rakan is a level above them anyway. Okay. Corki. Corki is balanced and is easy to play. Strong laner, but we want to make him a little less sharp while still preserving that curve. So I'm assuming this is an early game nerf to Corki and a late game buff to Corki, I think. Which I think is fine. Illaoi, looking to reduce frustration by reducing the duration of the Vassal debuff. We're looking to overcompensate with power and usability. Rek'Sai, returning true damage to Rek'Sai E and reshaping the R to be less of an assassin tool but more generally reliable. Intended to be overall more powerful. Super happy to hear that. I said this like many months ago. Rek'Sai should get her true damage back on E, and that's exactly what they're doing. PHREAK was the one who removed Rek'Sai true damage back then, and it was a mistake because it like removed part of the identity of Rek'Sai, and it made no sense to remove it anyway because it was kind of cool about Rek'Sai, and yeah, I don't know. So I'm happy this is coming back. Okay, so we have some numbers here already, right? So Pantheon Q combat monster damage ratio, 105 to 90, so 15% damage here, loss or whatever. Okay, cool. Again, it's so hard to say. We're gonna have to go to practice to see how fast his full clear is, and if his full clear is still doable, then it's fine. If it's not doable, then the champion will die out. So Illaoi changes, so this is very interesting. Passive, Prophet of an Elder God. So this is the tentacle, I think. AD ratio is increased by 5%. E, Test of Spirit Adjustment. Vassal debuff, duration reduced from 10 to 3. So this is, I think, after you run out of E, or after the whole E gets used on you. After you either run out of the range, or the whole E gets used on you. This debuff that like 10 seconds after the tentacles keep spawning after you, the tentacles will now only spawn for 3 seconds. Which is an insane, I think, nerf and a buff, depending on the scenario. Tentacle attack on Vassal, the lockout reduced to 0 seconds. So, okay. So here's what I think this happens. I think in a 1v1, if you're side laning, and against better players, this will most likely always be a nerf. In a team fight, when there's so many VFXs on the screen and there's so much chaos happening and players cannot focus on all the things at the same time and people are clamped up together. This might be a mega buff, is how I'm reading this. Like, I think what might happen is if Illaoi takes a 5v5, there could be like highlight reels happening out of this, where all of a sudden people are not expecting so many tentacle slams at the same time, and then boom, Illaoi gets a highlight in. But I think once people get used to this change, especially in a 1v1 and potentially in high elo, I think this will be a nerf to the character. Like, this will be a massive nerf to the character, so I'm reading. But I could be wrong. We're just gonna see how it works in action. Rek'Sai, base armor reduced by 1. Armor per level reduced by 0.45. Still pretty high base armor, still pretty high base armor growth, still fine. Unborrowed change. Per target, knock-up cooldown reduced from 10 flat to 10 to 6. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, I assume this is per level rank up, or is it on ability rank up? I don't know which one it is. If it's ability rank up, makes you wonder if Rek'Sai will want to max W second. Probably not. If it's per level scaling, definitely a big buff. Furious bite change. Damage change from total AD to flat number plus 56 bonus AD. To be honest, you would have to compare this number to the old Rek'Sai to see how much different it is. Max Fury bonus change, the additional 8 to 14% targets max HP, physical damage to 20% plus 70% AD, total bonus AD converted to true damage. Ooh, and a cooldown reduction by 3 seconds. This is also a really big jungle clear speed buff. Yeah, this is big. This is big. Void Rush adjustment, damage adjusted. So instead of targets missing health, which is normally better against squishes, it now deals against targets maximum HP, which makes it a lot better against tanks. So her ultimate will simply be better overall, but maybe slightly worse into squishes. Cooldown increased up by 20 seconds. Rank 1, this is fine. Lockout cooldown, like 2 minutes is like a standard ultimate CD. Lockout cooldown if the target dies and moves too far away, goes for 5 seconds. So this is a really nice quality of life buff. Now resets W burrow cooldown on cast. Wow! So now there's gonna be a combo where you W somebody, you combo them, you ult them, and then you're gonna be able to W them again. So these two lines are really like what I'm reading here. Like really nice quality of life buffs for Rek'Sai. I think there's no doubt in my mind. This is just gonna be at least 1% win rate, if not more, to Rek'Sai. I guess Rek'Sai mains are happy. I mean, this champion is one of the worst champs in the game right now, and she's been forgotten for a long time. I mean, yeah. Alright, cool stuff, Freak. I mean, overall, again, I think most of the patch is just... the game is like... Okay, high-elo players constantly complain. The game is stale, we need more changes, we need something that will shake up the game. This patch doesn't address any of that. I'm sorry, but most of these changes are going to be completely unnoticed in high elo. I would say the midi support changes, depending how big they are the biggest changes here to high elo, but nothing else matters. So, like, Bel'Veth is, yeah, mostly like a master plus change, sure. Aurelia, it's mostly a low elo change. Mastery, low elo change. Nilah, low elo change. Pantheon, this is high elo. Rel and Braum and Alistar a bit high elo, I guess. But no, Braum is also for majority of player base, and so is Rel. And then Quinn, this is a solo queue change. Illaoi and Rek'Sai solo queue changes. Corki, I would argue it's mostly a solo queue change as well. Riven solo queue, Clat solo queue. Yeah, the game is gonna be very similar next patch. Not much is gonna change.